Hi everybody, my name's Timmy, and welcome to Cardano Ecosystem News. We're going to start today with the most amazing news, which is that SundaeSwap is starting the voting process for their initial stake offering in just a few hours. It starts on November 11th, it runs for 5 days, and we're going to talk to you all about what you need to do to participate. Then, we're going to take a look at 4 different short stories from EMURGO. Now, EMURGO is one of the founding partners of Cardano, and they've just exploded with a ton of news over the last 4 days. Then, we're going to wrap up with an overview of the optimization blog posted by IOHK earlier this afternoon. Now, this blog article covers all kinds of details and network parameters around how Cardano is going to stay one of the fastest, best performant blockchains into the future. So let's jump on in. I'll see you on the flip side, and remember to hit subscribe so I stay alive. It's happening! The SundaeSwap ISO initial stake offering voting dashboard is now live. You can visit their Twitter feed and find a link to a landing page that walks you through the timeline and the process for how we're going to vote which stake pool operators will be invited to the ISO. And remember, these are also the stake pool operators who will serve the role of scoopers that we described just 2 days ago. Now, on the SundaeSwap landing page, which again, you can access through their Twitter feed, you'll see a brief welcome message and a countdown. Now, this countdown is the countdown to when voting begins. And indeed, voting begins at the beginning of Epoch 302. Now, in Epoch 302, which begins Thursday, the 11th of November at 21:45 UTC, you're going to be asked to choose your 2 favorite stake pool operators to participate in SundaeSwap's ISO. They've got a full list of all of the stake pool operators who have applied to be considered, and you're going to be asked to choose your top 2. And so from this list, you're going to be asked to choose maybe your first choice, your preferred choice, and then your second preferred choice, your backup choice. And what they're going to do is, once you've chosen your 2 options, they're going to spit out a unique number. And that unique number is the amount of ADA that you're going to have to send yourself. This is a way for you to mark your vote on the blockchain in a wonderful, transparent manner that everyone can see and everyone can tally if they want to, so we can have no doubts that everything is done perfectly, fair, and on the up and up. So at the beginning of Epoch 302, which starts in 17 hours, come onto this website, go here, and you'll choose your 2 SPOs, you'll get a number, and what you're going to do is you're going to send that amount of ADA to yourself. And they're going to look through the blockchain for people who have sent ADA to themselves in this manner, and based on the number that you've sent to yourself, they'll be able to know what your vote was. And you might be asking, well, how many ADA do you need? You won't need more than just a couple ADA, but the way this works is the more ADA you have, the more your vote counts. Each ADA you have, you can think of as a vote. And so they're at the beginning of Epoch 302, which starts in just a few hours, they're going to do a snapshot, and they'll be able to see how much ADA is in each wallet address, and that amount of ADA will be the amount of weight to your vote. You can think of it as the amount of individual votes that get assigned to the 2 SPOs that you select. And so make sure you have all the staking set up ahead of the kickoff of Epoch 302. And then you're going to send ADA to yourself within the 5-day period between Epoch 302 and 303, and that'll be your vote. And they're going to tally up all the votes based on how much ADA was in each stake address and decide on 30 stake pool operators. Now, these 30 stake pool operators are also going to be the scoopers, and they have a link to the article that they shared last week talking all about scoopers and what the role is of the scooper. And so, yeah, what you can do is right now go ahead and check out SundaeSwap's landing page, check out their Twitter, make sure you read the FAQ, make sure you understand when the voting starts and when it ends. They've also got a note that the DEX itself is going to launch very soon after runtime verification finishes the audit. This is an audit so that we know that the DEX is implemented exactly how they say, exactly how the design is, so we can have confidence in this DEX. And yeah, they say that while the vote is ongoing, you'll be able to see the total number of votes as well as your personal vote. And so it looks like there might be some kind of a real-time indicator, much like a presidential or prime ministerial election. How cool is that? I am so jazzed. I am so energized. I am so excited. The SundaeSwap ISO selection is happening in just a few hours. Check out their page at iso.sundaeswap.finance or their Twitter feed. Our second story today is actually a series of 4 short stories, all coming out of EMURGO. Now you might be asking yourself, who or what is EMURGO? And I'll walk you through that briefly right now. Now, Cardano was actually created by 3 key partners. 3 founding members created Cardano, and you might be familiar with Input Output Hong Kong, often called IOHK. Now, they've recently renamed themselves to Input Output Global, or IOG, and this is where Charles Hoskinson sits, and it's often seen as the main development and maintenance branch who's actually pushing code into Cardano the most. Backing up IOHK, though, is the Cardano Foundation. Now, if you're familiar, you can compare the Cardano Foundation to the Ethereum Foundation, and they're the independent standards body that oversees and supervises the advancement of Cardano and the Cardano ecosystem. The foundation is the legal custodian of the protocol and the owner of the Cardano brand. Their mission is to drive adoption and partnerships, to grow the Cardano community globally, as well as to partner with governments to shape legislation and commercial standards for Cardano. But then you've also got EMURGO as the third partner who created Cardano. EMURGO is indeed a founding member of the Cardano protocol, and they develop, support, and incubate commercial opportunities for Cardano. You can think of EMURGO as the business-to-business or the enterprise for-profit branch of Cardano. They're busy partnering with large companies and governments and looking for commercial ventures to grow the blockchain and increase adoption. Along with Cardano's growth, though, EMURGO itself has seen tons of growth and now have offices and projects in Singapore, Japan, the United States, India, Indonesia, and, you guessed it, Africa. So why are we talking about EMURGO, and why are we talking about them today? Well, EMURGO has just exploded with a ton of activity over the last 4 or 5 days, and I want to share 4 recent tweets coming out of EMURGO that are all super exciting about the ecosystem. Now, the first story, and the major one, is about Yoroi. Now, some of you might not know, but Yoroi is actually created and maintained by EMURGO. Yoroi is Cardano's leading light wallet. It's a wallet that runs as a browser extension with super fast startup times, super light interface that's very easy to use. And you can do everything that you'd like to do with a full node wallet like Daedalus inside of Yoroi. You can send and receive ADA, you can look at your balances, and they've also got support for a couple other tokens and blockchains such as Ergo. The big news coming out just a little over 24 hours ago is that SundaeSwap Labs have successfully integrated the SundaeSwap DEX into the Yoroi wallet. Boom. In the words of Yoroi, this changes everything. You'll be able to use this beautiful DEX with low fees, with no contention, with high throughput, all within this light wallet without needing the full Daedalus wallet or the full Cardano dApp store. Just a very lightweight, beautiful, elegant solution. And to be clear, Yoroi has a ton of user adoptions, thousands and thousands, I believe actually hundreds of thousands of users at the moment. So, SundaeSwap Labs released on their Twitter feed just a few hours ago on November 7th a short video showing their DEX in action, and we'll take a small look at it right now. Here they're selecting the source token and the destination token to swap to. They're entering the amounts that they want to swap. Beautiful animation, a beautiful summary of the transaction and the very low fee, 0.5. And then if you're familiar with MetaMask, this kind of a browser-based pop-up might be familiar for you. This is where MetaMask would ask you to enter in your credentials. Here you enter in your Cardano spending password. Love the privacy features there, super secure. But I just love the animations here, the large button, the rounded UI. Super welcoming, super friendly. After the transaction is done, you can see the list of all of your transactions. You can see your balances and any fees that applied to that transaction. So it's really all that you would expect, all that you would want from a DEX. Proof is in the pudding. Here it is working in Yoroi. Bada boom. How exciting is this? What an exciting time for the Cardano ecosystem. Big shout out to SundaeSwap Labs. Big shout out to EMURGO and the Yoroi team. And wow, big shout out to all of us who have been waiting, patiently hodling Cardano and waiting for this ecosystem to explode. We're in the 9th inning. Now, the second article from EMURGO, which was posted just a couple hours ago, is they've announced a partnership in Africa with a company called Adanian Labs. Now, Adanian Labs is a tech incubator or a startup accelerator based in Africa. They specialize in AI, blockchain, and other smart technologies. Now, you might be familiar with Y Combinator or Techstars. These are America-based startup accelerators who brought you companies such as Airbnb and Dropbox and Instacart. They make very, very early pre-seed investments in technology startups. Adanian Labs is the African version of Y Combinator, focused on blockchain technologies. Now, EMURGO has announced a partnership with this tech incubator, Adanian Labs, where they're going to help 100 African startups with $100 million total over the next few years. The idea here is to help spur adoption of Cardano as the standard tech infrastructure platform for Africa's emerging industrial innovation. It's a time of immense change and development in Africa, and investments like this, $100 million across 100 companies, it's all about planting the seeds to have a really rich, bountiful tech ecosystem in Africa in 3 or 4 years, all based on Cardano. I love this forward-looking commitment of EMURGO and their African branch here, and this has huge, huge promise for the Cardano ecosystem overall. The other blockchains are just not doing this kind of stuff. The third story from EMURGO is a joint venture that they've launched with A-Starter. Now, A-Starter is a launch pad, which is subtly different from a tech incubator, where a launch pad will get a bunch of investment money from the community, and they'll deliver that to very, very early blockchain companies and projects. And people who put up that money will get token allocations, kind of like a seed investment for early blockchain projects. Now, what they've announced here is that A-Starter Launchpad is looking for an ambassador. I wanted to share this with you guys because I think this is a great vehicle for someone to get involved in Cardano, to get involved in blockchain, but without having to learn how to program or be a developer. If you're someone who's interested in business or relationship building or marketing, then I think this opportunity might be really attractive to you. They're looking for someone to help them with grassroots promotion of the A-Starter Launchpad, as well as someone to help them with their social media influence, to help them with their tweets, and to proactively promote A-Starter. They're also looking for someone who can help make content, writing articles, memes, videos, GIFs or GIFs, stickers, and so on. Now you might be wondering, is this a paid job or what are the benefits? It looks like you're going to be able to participate in an annual ambassador meeting hosted by the project team. But beyond that, you'll also be invited as a special guest in a wide range of online and offline activities. Ambassadors will also have more influence in the community governance and the direction of the A-Starter Launchpad project. But I think the most exciting portion of this role is the ambassador can propose an interview proposal and bring it to the A-Starter team. So you can imagine using this platform as a way to interview project founders and developers from all of the Cardano projects getting ready to launch, and personally growing your network, relationship building, and just building your reputation in the Cardano community and the blockchain community overall. This is an exciting role for someone who's maybe not super jazzed about programming all day or doesn't want to be a founder for their own project, but it's a way to get involved in the community and to grow your network in a really exciting way. If you're interested in being a A-Starter ambassador, take a look at EMURGO's tweet on their Twitter feed. And finally, the fourth story from EMURGO that came out just yesterday, again, these guys are on fire, is an announcement of their academy, basically their developer program, learning how to build on Cardano. Now, I think this looks really, really interesting, and if anyone's thinking of taking this, keep an eye out for Timmy from Cardano Ecosystem News. That's me, because I'm thinking I might take this course myself. Now, there's two levels to the course. There's kind of the first level that I don't want to call basic, because as you'll see in a minute, the syllabus is quite rich. It's 60 hours of structured instruction with a team of mentors and classmates and collaboration. And then another follow-on advanced program for another 40 hours. They've outlined the syllabus here on their website, and you'll learn all about oracles and smart contracts, about dApps and DAOs. You'll learn about Cardano specifics. You'll learn about Cardano's consensus protocol, or Ouroboros, as well as Haskell with some hands-on Haskell programming, some hands-on Marlowe development, and then you'll do a mini project in Marlowe and Haskell. Really, really cool stuff. I love the focus on blockchain fundamentals, as well as the specifics about Cardano, the importance of Cardano, and how we think Cardano is going to win. Building on that is a follow-up 40-hour class where you'll review what was learned in part 1, as well as do some Plutus programming. You'll talk about Solidity and the virtual machine to emulate Ethereum on Cardano. You'll do some UI work. You'll walk through a sample project, and then you'll do a full project in Plutus with mentors. This is a really, really exciting program, and I'm further encouraged that it's being run by EMURGO, one of the founders of Cardano. This is what the official education program might look like. Now, it's not free. Each of the classes is $500, and I want to remind you that there is a Pioneers program that's free, and there's a very, very rich Cardano developer Discord server. And so there's tons of resources on YouTube and Discord and other ways where you can learn how to develop Cardano for free. But if you're like me and you benefit from more of like a structured curriculum, a structured syllabus with a teacher and a mentor and maybe a cohort of learners, then take a look at this program. It looks really interesting to me. I'm considering signing up even as soon as this evening. So those are 4 updates from EMURGO: the developer program, the A-Starter Launchpad Ambassador program, EMURGO's partnership with Adanian Labs in Africa and their $100 million commitment, and last but not least, SundaeSwap's integration into EMURGO's Yoroi Light Wallet. What an amazing 4 days from EMURGO. This company is just blowing up. I'm so proud and happy to have them as the 3rd pillar of the Cardano Foundation, and really excited for the things that they're doing for the community. Our 3rd story today comes from Tim Harrison, Marketing and Communications Director for Input Output HK, one of the main developers of the Cardano protocol and blockchain. In a blog post titled Optimizing Cardano, Tim and the team walked us through how they're thinking about the different network performance parameters and levers that exist to incrementally increase network performance of Cardano as more users and projects begin using the blockchain in the upcoming weeks. Now, we're already aware that Cardano is the leading proof-of-stake blockchain in the world, and it's also one of the most decentralized blockchains available today. Furthermore, as the Plutus application backend comes online on the mainnet in the coming weeks, we expect a huge explosion in use and utility and applications on the blockchain. As such, it's important that the Cardano team and community has a plan and is anticipating how to increase the network performance as this usage comes online. In the blog article, Tim and his team start talking about congestion and what we mean when we talk about congestion as it relates to blockchains. Tim also shared that on average, Cardano blocks are only about 25% full, leaving more than 3/4 of the block empty as unused capacity for when use and utility really starts to increase. So we're already in a good place today. That said, if use and utility explodes 5x, 10x, 100x over the coming months, we want to be thinking about network performance in a very strategic way. Tim and his team are thinking about two criteria around network performance, being throughput and timeliness. Throughput is all about the amount of data in each block. It's how wide and how strong is the fire hose, how much data is being included. Now, right now, it's set at 64 kilobytes. That's 64,000 bytes, which is plenty big because each transaction is only about 300 bytes. So you can already see that we're already able to do hundreds, if not thousands, of simple transactions in a single block. That said, more complicated transactions like a Plutus script can often be 1 kilobyte, 2 kilobytes, or up to 16 kilobytes. So still, within the 64 kilobyte limit, you can fit a Plutus script as well as a few hundred of these simple transactions all bundled together without an issue. However, you can start to see that you can only have 4 maximum size Plutus script transactions in a single block. That said, we expect most of these Plutus scripts to be much lower than 16K, and so it'll be common to see 4, 5, 8, 10 Plutus scripts within a single block. Now, one thing that we might need next year or the year after is to increase the throughput by maybe doubling the block size to 128 KB. No problem. There's only a trade-off in that as there's more data going through the platform, you're going to need more network activity by the stake pool operators. Now, the stake pool operators are often in cloud service centers, and so they should have no problem scaling up their bandwidth and their throughput. But if, for example, there was not an increase on the network side of things, then you can imagine a 128 KB block taking twice as long to propagate as a 64 KB block. Now, this is where we can tweak other parameters like the block adoption time. Right now, the total budget for block adoption is set to 5 seconds. That means we allow for 5 seconds for the blocks to propagate across the Cardano network, which really means across 95% of the network. Now, if we have twice as much data, we can imagine that we might need a little bit more time, maybe up to 8 or 9 or 10 seconds. I also want to call out that Tim has shared with us that 50 milliseconds are actually guaranteed and carved out for the Plutus scripts. This is super important because it means that a block can't be filled up with only simple transactions and have no room for Plutus scripts. There will always be some time in the propagation budget, this 5-second budget, for Plutus scripts. That's a really great balance and helps us prevent monopolization of the time budget from one type or the other. Now, recently, as use and utility and interest of Cardano has absolutely exploded, we've seen a large number of simultaneous NFT transactions happening on the blockchain. You can visit pool.pm at any time to see the live NFTs being created in real time. When this happened, it created a huge demand on the service. In fact, it created a 43,000% demand on the supply for the blockchain power. One thing is, this congestion, though, only lasted an hour. Now, sometimes we see with Ethereum or with Bitcoin that things get slow for days and days at a time, or the gas fees exploding for weeks at a time. In this really edge case scenario where thousands and thousands of NFTs were being created, it actually only lasted for about 1 hour, and then the entire network went right back to its super fast speed. Now, we also understand that in the future, we're going to need to look at the mempool size. I want to quickly talk about what that means now. The mempool size is currently 128 kilobytes, which is twice the size of the block size. The way this works is it's a network buffer. It allows the transaction queues to allow for more transactions to be happening even while the propagation is ongoing. This is super important to help with latency and so that you don't have just a FIFO, first in, first out queue, and everything else gets dropped along the side. Another thing the team is looking at doing is script compression. Right now, the concurrent transaction size is set to 16 kilobytes. That's the maximum of the Plutus script size that we talked about earlier. But you can imagine zipping or compressing these scripts. And now you can have their uncompressed size could be 32 or even 64 kilobytes, but then when compressed, easily fit within the 16 kilobyte limit. So these are just some examples that were shared in this blog around some of the parameters that the Cardano team is going to be able to tweak in the coming weeks and months as needed. They're looking at throughput, they're looking at timeliness and block propagation, they're looking at the size of the scripts and compressing them, and they're looking at tweaking potentially the mempool size. I'm just super floored that we're only 2 months in and already we're seeing this huge explosion of activity on the blockchain. And I love that this team, Input Output HK, and the rest of the Cardano community is already thinking about 2022, 2023, when there's 10x, 100x traffic, how we're going to stay the leading blockchain available. Beautiful work.